Roll call.
Laurie Mills.
Chad Smith.
Melissa Morrow.
Don Hudson.
Mary Elizabeth Kofer.
Great. All right. Well, do we have any public comments?
No public comments.
Okay, great. Consent agenda, we have the minutes on there. Does anyone want to make a motion for the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, passes. All right, let's start with Izzy. Do you want to share with us any park improvements that were done or any maintenance items that you're working on?
Sure thing. Good afternoon, Izzy Parra, Public Works. Just an update on what's going on in the park. It looks like the engineers approved the design for the retaining wall,
Oh, great.
and I am getting ready to set out and get invitation for proposals for quotes on that.
Great.
Let's see. We finally poured the concrete over at the pavilion. I know it's been an ongoing project, but it's already been poured out. It's been poured. So in the next couple of weeks, we're waiting for it to cure a little bit more, and then we're going to go ahead and do an acid wash. We'll probably do the upper part as well too, so it kind of matches and not just do a new part and then the old part kind of looks kind of already faded.
Yeah.
So
Great.
that's coming up in the next few weeks.
Was this the erosion issue right below the field house over there?
No.
I mean the pavilion?
Pavilion, yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay.
Yes, and
Awesome.
long story short, we're gonna go ahead and try and clean up that area where the ADA ramp is as well. Grade that out a little bit more, put some rock there so it kind of flows evenly, and
Blends in.
hopefully that we don't have any puddling or, hopefully that we'll spend some time there so it looks nice and clean and we don't have those hard edges there. I know that was one of your all's concern on the
Yeah.
park walk
Yeah,
through.
that step had some sharp edges on it.
Yeah.
Landscaping or something, or a big rock.
We're thinking about doing, some river rock there, and then in the spring possibly do some plants. Trying to stay away from shrubs just because we don't want kids falling in there. But we'll definitely do some smaller plants and hopefully deter away anybody from trying to cut across there and stay away from those sharp edges.
Maybe some ground cover or something.
Yeah, something.
I noticed there was some pooling of water there, so I think Jimmy had kind of made a trough to get it all out.
Yes, and once we get a little bit further along, we'll grade that out. And yeah, definitely there was the reason for that puddling is some of that irrigation water was all kind of flowing in there, and we'll grade it out and try and make it look pretty so we don't have that issue with the puddling of water.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
It looks like someone's doing some planting here in front of City Hall. I saw some plants and pots down there.
Yes,
I have some more I'd like to donate. There is a plant out there with purple type of leaves. It's a wandering Jew, I believe it's called.
yes.
I have another type of it that's a larger one that might look really nice alongside it. If y'all are interested, I rooted 4 of them for you, and I can bring you probably 4 more on top of that if you're interested.
Sure.
Requires absolutely no maintenance.
The only reason,
I'll take
Love
over.
that.
yeah, definitely. The only reason we have that out there is there was actually plants that were left over from when we put the new plants on the entry.
Oh, right.
garden. So, we really haven't found a place for that yet, but, yes, if you want to give us some and you can think of a place where we can plant them, by all means, we'll.
Well, I
we'll
don't
do
want to
so.
burden you with plants, but if you're
No,
interested.
it's not burden, it's just, if you can let us know, hey, this would look nice here, and if it's possible, we'll definitely do that, yes.
Okay, great.
Thank
Okay.
you. I just want to mention that Johnny's been doing a great job at spearheading the irrigation troubleshooting around the parks. This is just a thing that we've been going through. We've had issues since day one, since I started here at the city. But we've been sending him to some irrigation training, and he's taken a liking to it, and that's great. That's because he's had the passion for it. So, yeah, you'll see some areas where, we'll definitely put some more time into getting that, putting some more time and effort into getting those areas, especially up in the ball fields. If you can think of any area where, hey, how come it's a little bit dry up here?
Okay.
We'll get to it really quick, as fast as we can.
So I thought that tree up there at the corner at Gentry and Rollingwood Drive, I thought it was dead.
And now it's coming back.
Yes.
So that was one of the areas where we've actually targeted. And this morning, as a matter of fact, Brian was like, hey, I need to show you an area where he wants to plant a tree, and was saying how it was dry up there. And he was like, well, it's wet. Well, because we targeted that area
That's
last
been a
week.
bad area for a long time. When I first started on this commission, I don't know how many years ago, there was nobody who was turning those on at all. And then we found out half of them didn't work.
That's
so
exactly
I think
not,
it's just
yeah,
been
not
a
that they weren't being turned on,
revolving
it's that they
door over
weren't
there, so
working
good job.
properly, and that's one of the things that I've been on my, on my plate, is to make sure that we taking, I care for water conservation, and that's one of the things that, let's make sure that these irrigation systems are working like they're supposed to.
We're not
I don't know how many hours we've spent on those bubbler systems on those trees up there, and again, but if you ever think about it, just send that to City Hall, and we'll go ahead and take a look at those areas.
I'm just so impressed. That tree looks great now.
Yeah.
I mean, it went from brown to just full of leaves.
And it's because of the water that we're, making sure that they're getting the proper amount of water, one. And they also, they're being treated with that moon juice. And moon juice is great.
Yeah, it is good.
It is good.
What is that stuff called?
It's called moon juice. It's
Moo juice,
through,
M-O-O
yeah,
juice.
moon, like straight up to the moon.
It's by the Moon Nursery.
Moon nurseries,
Yeah.
yes.
That's why it's called that.
And a little goes a long way.
Yeah.
It comes, it's sold in a gallon jug, but 5 ounces with 5 gallons of water every 2 to 3 months works great.
Good,
Huh.
yay.
Here I'm advertising.
Yeah, exactly.
Doing a shameless
Are you a
plug.
spokesman for Moon Juice? What's going on?
Yeah, but it's
Right.
Very
worked.
good.
Good.
Hey, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
A couple of questions. I noticed in watering the round garden by Rollingwood Drive, the wildflower garden,
Oh, yeah.
I think I sent a text out, but there was a sprinkler head in that thing that came on like, I don't know, 10 in the morning or so, and then there's one by the faucet over there that comes on too, and you're probably aware of those, but they're on a timer, obviously.
There, yeah, and our assistant, is that coming on too late?
No, it's just coming on, and it's, I had never noticed it before.
They didn't used to come on, especially the one in the garden. It never came on before.
Well, that's one of the areas, all along Gentry and Rollingwood, we've targeted those areas, because of course, if we're making the park look nice as you're coming up.
Right.
And then, of course, eventually we'll work
Yay.
to the rest of the park.
Now, another thing, I've noticed we've got a nutsedge infestation in this bed out here.
Yeah.
And this is controversial. In my yard, I just pull it up and then it comes back, and I pull it up again and it comes back. And
Unfortunately, that's the only way we know of how to target that, because I don't want to put anything on there that'll contaminate the ground.
now, a fellow that I used to know had that. He had the similar thing in his lawn, and what he did was, I know we don't allow the use of Roundup in the park,
Yeah.
but what he did is he put on a vinyl glove on one of his hands and then a cloth glove, and he had a little cup of Roundup, and he'd dip his fingers in and pinch the leaves of each one of those. And he didn't drip anything anywhere, and then when they died, he'd pull them up, and he said it got rid of it.
Oh, because it carried it through to the roots.
Yeah. I don't know if that would fly past anybody, but that's a method that I've experienced working in the past. I don't do it. I just pull it up in my yard.
Because that's eventually what we're doing.
That's a lot. There's a
And
lot
that-
out there.
I believe that's one of your items on the park walkthrough as
Yeah.
well. And that's the only way we've actually
We should
addressed
get
that issue.
citizens involved. Just get a whole horde of people out there, and you gotta get some roots with it, because there's a nut underground, and if you don't get the nut, you just like stimulate it. It's like pruning a tree or something.
Sure.
So
I mean,
I'd be happy to join in that. pulling
sure.
nut
And
grass.
as far as using Roundup, we just stay away from it, because if we do get asked by a resident, what are you using, we have to be transparent, and the last thing I want to be
Well, you
caught
don't
with,
let any of it
be
get
caught
in
with
there.
Roundup in my hand and say, oh, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's why I said it's controversial.
yeah.
Yeah.
But no, any suggestions, and if we can address it or any way we can, I mean, yeah,
Great.
hoping
I-
to,
I'm getting ready to plant that circular bed with wildflower seeds, so I'll put up a sign for people to keep out of there. It's time, and I got some good wildflower seeds for that.
yeah. And the other thing we'll be doing here in the next week is, putting out some pre-emergent to try and,
Oh, nice.
yeah, try and get those, we had less weeds this year than we did the previous year, so we're slowly, it's a slow process, but we're working on it.
It's cumulative.
Again, well, tree trimming, we've been, still continuing to do tree trimming around the park. It's not something that we can do all at once, it's just not, we just don't have the manpower for it.
So has there been any more thought to possibly getting some irrigation to the butterfly garden?
It's on the radar,
Thank you.
it's on the radar.
That works for me.
Once you'll see, is just like Don said, wait, we've got some water coming up, you'll be like, okay, I guess they
I'll
got
be
to it.
happy.
I just don't want to promise anything, I'm just,
I understand.
we're working on it.
It's on
I
the list.
understand.
It's on the list. There you
It's
go.
on the list.
And I understand, and that's great.
Great. That's all I have. I don't know if y'all have any questions for me.
That's
Oh.
good progress.
Yeah, great
That's
work.
very good.
And
Thank
I
you.
also wanted to say thank you. You guys were so quick to get to that piece of the driveway there, right by the. so
Yes,
That was fast.
yeah,
And it looks good.
thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Izzy.
All right, I hate to speak and run, but I've got
You're good.
You got a list.
I've
That's
got
right.
another list. Thank
We
you.
want you out
Thank
there.
you. That's right. Perfect. All right, Steve, you want to jump up? Or do you have anything?
I don't really have anything. It was
Okay.
more just being here if anyone had
Do you have any jokes or anything?
No, sorry.
Nothing prepared?
Nothing?
So the season's going well. I'm
Going
seeing
well.
lots of practices.
The way it worked out this year, most of our home games are away, and because of ACL weekends, we scheduled both those away. So the beginning weekends were away. So we'll have a lot of home games coming up this end.
Okay,
Um,
great.
So you'll see a lot more activity, at least from softball. Baseball is evidently there all the time. So, but no, everything's going well.
Okay, great, terrific.
Wow.
Thank you. All right, so discussion possible action regarding funding for tree and plant project proposed by Park Commission. I just wanted to kind of bring y'all up to date that the city did not put it into their budget. But I think the general consensus is for us to go to RCDC and ask for the money from there. And so I plan to go to the next RCDC meeting. I know that RCDC basically designated $50,000 towards,
I thought city
parks.
council, didn't they put 50,000 into park improvements, or was that RCDC?
So
was
that's
RCDC.
RCDC.
Okay.
So RCDC said that they would put 50,000. And so now we're, the place that we are is that, it sounds like they may be moving forward with the wall. I know originally the wall was estimated somewhere around 30. So there's still 20 hanging out there. And so we could do a combination of asking RCDC for that 20, and we could also say, their next fiscal year, well, it'll be a year from now. I don't think we can spend it fast enough to have it in. When is the fiscal year? Is it October 1 or November 1? October 1. Okay, yeah. So we're already in the next year. So, but RCDC also has a lot of funds, so we can at least ask them for the whole 50 if we want to on trees.
You can ask Women's Club.
We could also ask Women's Club, and then you'll see that I have on here item number 7, which is discuss the possible action regarding park fundraising and sponsor recognition. So we can kind of take that up now at the same time, if y'all are okay with that.
Works for me.
So because because we don't really have money to spend, and I believe it's in the city ordinance that the park commission should be involved in fundraising for the park, but it's never really been something that this group has done. I just wanted to have it as sort of an intro on here, to start thinking about, and I'm talking very low energy, lowest hanging fruit, but to start thinking about ways that the city could fundraise for the park. And I don't have any agenda. I don't think, let's get this done in 6 months. But I do want us to at least, every quarter start thinking about what are some ways that we could do fundraising. One of the issues that I know has been in the past is that we don't have we have very limited, or we want sponsor recognition to be look beautiful and not take away from the park, but also be encouraging to people to give. And so what I'd like to do is probably put together a smaller group to start thinking about what sponsorship recognition could look like in our own park. We have existing, so we can sort of build on. Even if all we did this year was say, okay, by March 31st, we want to do anyone who wants to get a new brick, for X amount of dollars, and we'll call the company that comes and does the bricks, basically pay for
We
it.
decided that wasn't a very good money
It doesn't, it doesn't.
generator.
Well, I have no idea.
Yeah, well, we've talked about
Yeah,
it. We
Yeah.
explored that back when we first started talking about when that woman came and wanted to memorialize something for her husband.
I remember that, yeah.
And we went and looked at that, and I actually even talked to Colleen, who headed that up. It just doesn't generate a whole lot of money.
But
But
we,
we've also talked about doing like Friends of the Park, where people could donate. In my personal opinion, I don't really think we need to have. I think the ways in which we should recognize people who donate to the park should be on the website or on the boards or whatever. I don't wanna see us naming things.
When you
I
say
have
on the
just me.
boards, you mean?
On the boards down below and up
Yeah,
top,
yeah,
like
yeah,
there'd
yeah.
be a nice.
That's what we're talking
Yes,
about.
okay.
That's all I'm talking about. I'm not talking about naming this the Upper Park, Chad Smith Park. I'm really talking about using, whether it's bricks or where we have existing signage.
What about if they donated a certain amount of money, they automatically got a brick, but
Yeah.
they had to donate
Yes.
$1,000
Yes.
or more, because then we're getting something
Yes.
more than selling the brick, where we might make a small percentage off that $225.
I'd like
Totally
to
agree.
speak to this.
Yeah.
I would like to only do kind of what you're saying, let's just go for the bigger money, let's don't mess around.
Yeah.
Our
Yes.
time is worth more than that.
Totally.
I
And
agree.
also, I think that, given that we're talking about doing something here at City Hall anyway, there could be a place that we have a wall that, where we put something on it where I'm talking about people that donate $3,000, $5,000.
Yes.
Yes.
And, I think that there are people here that would donate that.
Yes.
And I think we could reach out to them. And that, my friend that I mentioned earlier, that's somebody I could reach out to.
Yeah.
Perfect, love it.
So that's what the kind of stuff I'm talking
Okay.
about.
Yeah,
I'm
I
real.
have
yeah,
some
go ahead.
thoughts on
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Two things. Eanes ISD, when my kids were going through that, they have what they call no hassle fundraisers. Please send $5 to school with your kid. No cupcake sale, just that.
They still do it, but the expectation is more than $5, but yes.
Okay, well, that was a while back. It might be that we could just, I don't know if you'd want to put it in with the water bill, that seems a little bit impersonal, but you could just send out to the community. We're trying to do these things, but I think also, to get funding for something, it would be nice if we could say, we're trying to do this, for example.
For sure. Put some
we
teeth
could
behind
take-
it of what we wanna
Yeah.
use the
If,
money.
if we have the tree plan, and what we have is we have a quotation, but we don't really have a layout, just a top view of how that's where those trees are gonna go. and-
Actually, we do.
We do? I haven't seen it.
Yeah, you were emailed what the trees are where they're gonna go and what they look like.
It's as a drawing?
It was a A1, AI thing that you were sent to at the very
Well,
beginning.
I think something that was more, that was a snapshot, an AI generated sort of a snapshot of things, but something that shows, maybe that's good enough, but something that conveyed what we're trying to do with
Right.
the money.
Right.
And if something came to me as, I mean, I'd throw some money at it.
Right.
So that's one thought, is just asking the neighbors for money to contribute to a specific project.
Mm-hmm.
And the trees are around 50,000. That's a lot of money,
Mm-hmm.
but those are my thoughts.
Yeah. So this isn't, we're not gonna decide this today, but
Right.
I'm with you. Just so you know, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not, people can give $200, whatever. Anything under like 1,000 is not going to
Recognize.
be, yeah.
Yeah.
So we just really, but I
A nice
think,
handwritten thank you note for that.
yeah,
I can, and I'll be happy to do all the thank you notes.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy
So,
to do thank you.
so I
notes, too.
want to think about it in terms of, and again, sorry, but where I work makes it really easy. It's a once a year fundraiser, so you're only asking once a year, and you're basically, the way that I would think about it is that we would really be saying, this is our big fundraiser for the parks. It happens once a year. We do emails, mailers, whatever. We define what projects that we're going to fund this year, and then we have people give money towards that.
And if they overshoot the expense for the project, then we've got some money in the bank for future projects. So,
But I do think there are going to be some people who just want to know they're going to be recognized somewhere, and not forever, but just, you know. So that's the part that I think.
Tell them we'll do an Instagram post for 'em.
So I definitely. So that's just something in the next meeting that we have. Think about that a little bit more. At the next meeting, we'll kind of probably designate 3 people again, and just say we'd like you guys to go away and think about how we want to recognize sponsors, what levels we want to set, and what time of year we think launching something like that is, and then have it based on the projects that we've adopted for that year.
you know, what we could do is we could say, you know, different levels of funding, and it might start at maybe $100 or I don't know what, and just recognize everybody who contributes. But like I say, sending $10, we'll spend $10 documenting and blah blah.
Yeah.
So identify some, you know, the bronze level and the silver level and the gold
Yep,
level.
for sure.
And the
Platinum, diamond, ruby,
yeah,
titanium, whatever.
yeah, yeah.
We can just keep building on it. All right.
I think that would be successful.
So, but meanwhile, we will go to RCDC for the tree planting. Does anybody have any other questions about the tree or the park fundraising and sponsor recognition? Okay, go ahead.
Has anybody ever thought, and I think we've done this in the past, about trying to bring the community together up in maybe the upper field and doing some sort of an event like, you know, whether it's a movie in the park or a field day or, you know, bouncy houses?
We've had
Or-
these discussions over the years about getting food trucks or doing a movie.
But
in
is
the
there
park.
something that would draw people out, because we've got a lot of cool people in this neighborhood who care about it, and we've already got a pretty good crew that comes out to the dog park, and they can tell their friends, hey,
Yeah.
you know, there's a fundraiser and we're going to do a movie in the park, or we're going to do a laser show, or whatever it is.
A live band.
A live band.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Something like that, where we say, hey, this is all to benefit the Rollingwood Park, and popcorn's going to be $10 a bag, but it's going to a good cause,
yeah,
and you know it's $10 to enter or something, just something where people can come out and feel like they're getting together with their neighbors. And I kind of feel like that's part of our job as the Parks Commission, is to get people out to the park. And
I feel like you're talking about 2 different things here, and if we're talking about getting people out to the park, I think that's pretty cool, and I really like that idea, and I wish that we'd go back to Brian Ryder's idea about doing something on a Saturday morning with food trucks and coffee and stuff, when people are out with their dogs or walking and the kids and so forth. I really like that idea. I mean, you're trying to merge it with a fundraiser
I'm
as
merging
well.
it with fundraiser, to be clear.
I don't know how much money we'd raise doing that. I think we're talking about going for a lot bigger bucks than that, but we could. But somehow that could be done.
More important as a social gathering than as a fundraiser, I think, as you described it.
I think we can pull off both, and I think it's worth doing.
I think what
I
you're
just don't-
talking about is gonna take a lot of manpower.
I don't think it will.
Okay,
don't
you're a
think it
better
will.
organizer than I am then.
I mean, I've put together some of this stuff, and it's just, you know, kind of invite the people and see who comes, and tweak things, and you know, if we need to set out chairs or do something like that, that may take some manpower. But just a thought, maybe challenge everybody to think about it before the next meeting of what you think might be fun, what might draw people to the park, and how much we could raise. But if we got a good band out there, maybe we could charge $20 a head and sell
Have a dance contest.
sell
$250
concessions.
a head, sorry.
Yeah, either one, whatever.
If a band would donate their time,
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think
Just a
these
thought.
these are all really good ideas, getting people to be good ambassadors of the park and come together and help support it. I think that's what we're looking to build.
We can auction off a dance with the mayor.
There we go. I like that. Okay.
Good thought.
But let's don't tell him ahead of
Certainly
time.
outside the box.
Yeah, let's don't tell him. He doesn't watch these meetings, does he?
Yes. Or you'll find out soon. All right. Okay, those are all great ideas. We'll come back next and we'll spend at least 10, 15 minutes at the next meeting talking about fundraisers and ways of getting people to engage in the park. All right. I have trail improvements on here just because we had it at the last meeting. Just to reiterate, we're sort of in a holding pattern with that. We want to make sure the other two projects get taken care of first. But if anybody had any questions about trail improvements.
Other two projects being tree planting and erosion,
That wall.
that wall
Yep.
by the field house?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
There's this mystery. It could be something to do with aliens, but there's these ruts. I should have asked this while Izzy was here. There's
I
these-
know
Oh, I
exactly
see 'em,
what you're
yeah.
talking
Do you
about.
think it's aliens?
I think it's armadillos.
I do too. We have them in our yard.
Yeah.
No, it's ruts in the trail itself.
Yeah, I know.
I know.
I
It's the
pointed
width.
them
It's,
out to Izzy.
let me finish. It's the width of one of those tires on those.
I was wondering if it was an
Bikes?
electric bike that someone's just spinning.
That's what it looks like. I
Yeah.
have armadillos. They dig holes. They
Yeah.
don't dig
They're not
ruts.
neat.
They're not neat, and they're not. These are like 12 inches long and 3 inches perfectly spaced.
Yep.
3
So
inches
they
wide.
kind of scoop
Have you
out
seen
like a
them,
bowl.
Mikhail? No. Okay.
I've definitely seen them.
We'll take pictures
Your
and we'll get 'em to
description
Izzy.
is spot on.
Yeah.
Of aliens or wheels?
Everything you're saying is spot on.
Yeah.
The aliens could be involved, but it
I
could
want
be
him to
electric
I
bike
want
tires.
him to be the chairman again,
Whatever.
Yeah.
or king or something.
I've
Okay.
got some thoughts on the trail.
Okay.
We've got these, so Mary Elizabeth and Lori and I are the trail
Yep.
people. As we've waded through this, I've come to really like the idea of hiring a guy for $250,000 and just having him put in a beautiful trail. But I don't think that'll ever fly past city council. And so then we've had, spend $110,000 pulling up the stones, putting in a footing foundation, then with some sand on top and resetting all the stones. And then, but that would not include reworking the gravel, which is a minor job compared to the stones. So that, and then we've got from Tim Eischen, who's the trail expert. I've seen his work. It's really pretty incredible, but he can probably chop at least 50,000, maybe more out of his bid by using less of the stabilizer in it. So we've got like a 250 and a 200 and a 110 plus a lot of our work, and then I have come up with the bare bones minimum. And what I'm going to do at some point, and I'll get permission for this, is I'm going to go along the butterfly garden, there's a place where and throughout the trail where the crushed granite is just flooded over the stones because the stones have sunk. And I'm going to dig up the stones that have sunken, build the dirt up underneath them, reset the stones, and I'm going to edge along there so there's a nice clean edge. And I've walked the trail a number of times now. Just every time I water the butterfly garden, I basically ride the entire trail on my bicycle. But there's 30, 40 at least.
Could be you putting the ruts in there.
I'll do it if we want to spend 40 years on it, you know. Anyway, I want to do that. Just I'll do a before and an after. I'll make sure I see how long it takes me to do it. And to me, it seems like one of these things that's more labor than anything else. It's got to be done nicely, but I've set stones. It's just a lot of labor, you know. But anyway, one of the things that makes that trail look unattractive is that the grass on the outside of the trail is not routinely cut back. So you don't have a nice clean line between the border stones and the ground beside it. And then you've got the crushed granite flooding over the stones, so the stones just disappear in a lot of places. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do this, and I'll note how I did it, et cetera, and see if that makes a substantial improvement in how it looks, because I just think with just some labor put into it, slowly, that trail can be fixed. My thoughts.
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing that.
Hadn't done it yet.
Yeah. Thanks
I think
for.
after you do it, you'll need to give it, a good 6 months to see how it's gonna,
Hold
See
up.
if they settle.
yeah.
Well, if you pull them up, you tamp the dirt down, you put sand on top of it so that you've got something for the stones.
No, I
to-
get it, but I get that.
I mean,
But I'm
that
just
is
saying,
not set on, those stones are just set on dirt.
Again, you're gonna have to wait till we get some rains, and not just one rain, but a few.
Oh, they're not gonna budge.
Perfect, good.
Actually, I have no idea.
Okay. Park financials. Any comments?
None.
Okay. And police, do we know if there were any reports of anything happening in the park?
There was a theft. Someone entered a car with it was not locked and stole 2 computers and somebody's purse.
At the park?
Yeah.
Oh,
When?
man.
What time of day?
It's on the, it was in the thing that Michaela sent out.
Oh, I'll go back and look at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yes, there was a balloon burglary with laptops and a wallet. I think, I don't know what day or time it was though. I'm not on top of my head, but it's on the report.
Okay, I'll go back and look at that.
Just to know that you think
Yeah.
it does happen.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, it absolutely does.
But the
And-
car was unlocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, my experience at Waya is every single break-in is because a purse,
Something's visible.
something is
Yeah.
visible in a seat.
And it's been like that
yeah,
for years. My
it is.
sister got
Yeah.
her theft. I mean, that. Anyway.
So don't, public service message, don't leave your valuables in view. Please put them away, even though this is a very safe and wonderful neighborhood and park, that can still happen.
I'll
It's
tell you
just a
what,
crime
the-
of opportunity.
The National Night Out was just
They did a great job.
phenomenal. And the
Was.
next day, I walk early in the morning, I get up here and the place is just
Spotless.
immaculate.
They
Nice.
did a
I don't
great
know
job.
how
I've
they did
noticed
that.
even with ACL, and I'm on that end where everybody walks, and I was telling my husband that for the last 2 years, in the 20-something years I've lived here, were the cleanest years ever.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't just walk down the street and see Liquid Death and all these empty water bottles everywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
there was hardly anything.
Yep,
And I was very impressed.
yeah. No, they're doing a good job.
They're doing a great job.
So we
and
really
that is a
appreciate it.
thankless job that takes many people and many hands and a lot of hours and late nights. So a big kudos to the city.
Great. All right. Well, thanks, city staff. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Great.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are done.